Tonight on E60.
What a catch by Santonio Holmes!
The most clutch touchdown catch in Super Bowl history. His reputation troubled.
Touchdown, Santonio Holmes!
Now, the New York Jets captain and the deadly link to his son.
My dad's my best friend.
A father and son share a secret handshake. And they share a name.
Make your mohawk, dude.
Thanks. You need to get one.
Man, I ain't got no hair.
My dad's my best friend. He's a big kid.
The day he was born, I held him and I looked at him and realized that this guy looks just like me.
But Santonio Holmes also shares something with his oldest son he wishes he didn't. A potentially deadly trait in their genetic code.
When something happens to my little one, it's all about him and sports second.
Towards the end zone for Holmes. He's got it. Touchdown. Santonio Holmes breaks free for the end zone for Holmes, and he's got it. Touchdown. What a catch by Santonio Holmes.
In 6 NFL seasons, Holmes has built a reputation for clutch plays on the field.
Touchdown, Santonio Holmes.
And trouble off it.
Santonio Holmes admitting to police that he had a small amount of marijuana when he was pulled over in Pittsburgh
yesterday. Holmes was also arrested over Memorial Day weekend and charged with disorderly conduct.
The coach had no comment this morning on the arrest of receiver Santonio Holmes.
Now, inspired by his son, the 27-year-old is trying to redefine himself as a father and as a man. Holmes, the oldest of 4 boys, grew up in the farming community of Belglade, Florida, an area nicknamed Muck City for its rich, sticky soil. When Holmes was 4 years old, his father left the family, and his mother worked the cornfields to support them.
When I would go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, Santonio would get his brothers up, get them ready for school. If he beats me home, he'll start, cooking. But he grew up faster than he really wanted to.
He was pretty much, I didn't have a dad, so he was pretty much my dad growing up.
It made me realize that kids need guidance. I honestly think I would not have made nearly as many mistakes as I've made throughout my life if I had a father around.
Football was a bright spot. Holmes led his high school to 2 state titles, and in his senior year was offered a scholarship to Ohio State. That same year, at 17, he learned his girlfriend was pregnant.
I knew from that moment that, I had big shoes to really fill.
At first, he was kind of he didn't know which way to go, how to go about being a father because he didn't have one.
He was thinking, about the future. What did he have to do, so that his kids, will be well taken care of, and they can look up to him and he can set an example and be a role model.
On April 18, 2002, Santonio Holmes III, nicknamed TJ, was born.
It was just breathtaking, and once I pushed him out, Santonio was there. He just immediately left me. He went straight to the baby.
But the joyous moment was short-lived. Routine tests revealed that TJ had sickle cell anemia, a potentially fatal disease that mostly affects African Americans. Red blood cells are abnormally shaped and deliver less oxygen to the body's tissues. The symptoms can be debilitating: chronic pain, strokes, organ damage, the collapsing of bones.
Hearing the doctor tell us that he was sick, it put a whole different perspective on life. I just brought this to the world, and there's a possibility that he may not, live long to even be on this earth to understand what life is like.
Sickle cell is a genetic disease. When both parents carry the trait, there's a 25% chance their child will have the illness. TJ's mom learned she carried the trait while pregnant. Holmes didn't find out he was a carrier until after his son was born.
I felt like it was all my fault, that he has to suffer through this. I just wish I would have known beforehand.
For the first 3 months of his life, TJ showed no symptoms of the disease. So in July 2002, Holmes decided he could leave and pursue his football career at Ohio State.
It was a sacrifice that I had to make, and all I kept telling myself from the day that I kissed him and told him that I had to leave and go to college so that I can make sure that his medical expenses are all taken care of.
But in the middle of his freshman year, Holmes got a call from his family in Florida. TJ had suffered his first sickle cell crisis.
He was like burning in fever, and so I took him to the emergency room. It was just kind of crazy.
I just got a ton of pictures being sent to my email of him sitting on the hospital bed with needles here, arms, hand. I would look at these pictures and just feel like hurt, like deep down inside that like I can't do anything about it.
TJ's fever finally broke, and after 9 days in the hospital, doctors sent him home. But the hospital visits and medical bills would continue to grow. Holmes was even more determined to succeed. He became a star in Columbus.
Going deep over the middle. Boy, is Holmes wide open. 15-10-5. And it's a touchdown for Ohio State. Torrey Smith to Santonio Holmes.
By his junior season, he had 25 touchdowns, third most in school history. In 2006, Holmes decided it was time to enter the NFL draft.
The Pittsburgh Steelers select Santonio Holmes, wide receiver from Ohio State.
Holmes became a go-to receiver for the Steelers, sealing the franchise's record 6th Super Bowl in his third season.
Back corner of the end zone. Santonio with a touchdown! Santonio Holmes! I don't know how he did it!
By that time, he and Nicole had split up, but TJ, now 6 years old, was healthy enough to sit with his family and watch his father's MVP performance in person.
I ran up and grabbed the guys out of the stands, and I just looked at them. And they were excited, but I honestly don't think they knew what has just happened.
My dad, he's my hero.
But heroics turned to scandal as a pattern of bad behavior caught up with Holmes. He was arrested 3 times over 3 years. And when in 2010, one of those arrests, a marijuana charge, led to an NFL suspension, the Steelers traded him.
This is curious, right? A 5th-round pick for a 26-year-old wide receiver in the prime of his career.
What regrets do you have?
All the dumb decisions that I've made. The ones that cost me my job in Pittsburgh. And I think throughout the times that I've suffered moments where my name was embarrassed, kids, eventually would learn about the things that went on.
As Holmes was dealing with being traded to the Jets, 8-year-old TJ's situation went from difficult to life-threatening. Because of his sickle cell anemia, his spleen had become enlarged. It would have to be surgically removed or risk rupturing and death. Holmes delayed reporting to training camp so he could be with his son.
It was tough, having to spend nights in the hospital, laying next to him, watching him sleep, to him waking up, just not knowing where he's at, ready to go home, frustrated, tired of the pain meds, can't eat.
It made him more appreciative because he knew that was his son, and he knew that any given moment something could happen and he can be taken away.
The surgery to remove TJ's spleen was a success. Holmes returned to football, and he made some changes.
Whether it was cutting off the people that I was hanging around with, to just being more grounded on my kids. It's my first time here. Just being more of a father figure. He won 10 pennants. He won 8 World Series. That's like 8 Super Bowls. Not show them the mistakes that I made, but show them how to overcome them.
Plaxico Burress, who's had his own off-the-field troubles, has known Holmes since his days at Ohio State.
He's more, about his family. He's more being, dedicated to his son and, trying to help him out with his illness. I know how he is around his kids. He talks about them daily, and he's a great father, and I hope people get to see that side of him, outside of football.
Holmes has set up a foundation, Third and Long, to help other kids who suffer from sickle cell. TJ, who now lives in Atlanta with his mother, is an active 9-year-old, but for the rest of his life, he must take medication daily. At least once a month, Holmes sees his son in person, and he talks to him every day.
He tells us on the phone before the game starts. He'll say, all right, love you guys, the game about to start. I gotta go because the game about to start.
This was a good day. You have to make sure whatever it is you do in life that you can set yourself up to take care of your kids for the rest of their lives. And that's what I did.
Reach for the stars. You may not get them all, but the higher you reach, the closer you'll get. Be great. I dare you, love that.